who are sitting behind to come forward. Thank you. Do you all see movies? Yes? Okay. Have you seen this? Yeah? I'm not a movie buff, and I haven't seen this, but I know that there is something which is very, very important, because the whole setting of this movie has been from an area which was my first school in sustainability, and that is the Kolar Goldfield. Kolar Goldfield is very close to Bangalore city, and it has a very rich history. It was started by the British, and it is the second biggest or the deepest mine, gold mine in the world. So there are many things which is, there are grades and best and all that. At the same time, a lot of problems were also associated with this gold field. In fact, what I got to learn was when I started my environmental sciences study, this was one of the field visits which I did, and that was to learn about the mine tailings, because that was an issue there. A lot of hazardous waste, and that was the study which we were doing. In fact, our story of this precious metal recycling, I know today morning there were 2 or 3 mentions about e-waste management. There are also some industry people here who are from the e-waste recycling sector, and they know it better. So one of the major focus of the government of India is also that we need to recover back the metals which, that's called the biomining, and especially from e-waste recycling, because we have critical metals which are there, and there is a lot of focus on that. So my journey also started on those. In fact, from this gold mines, there was another story which also evolved, that is the leaching of precious metals. In fact, today, almost all the informal recyclers have learned from this Kolar goldfields, because that they used to take the tailings and then do the recycling, the recovery. So that's another story which is linked to this Kolar goldfield. Now, the reason why I'm talking about all this is not just because of these history. Just last year, that is in June, the Karnataka government has approved surface mining of these 13 tailings, which 35 years back I went there to study, and still the results are not there, because we do have technology, but it is not economically feasible. But what really struck me was, just last week there was an article, and in fact a lot of study which I went through, which is on the biomimicry inspired innovation, which has been a breakthrough for this recycling potential. Because to make it economically feasible, you need to have a recycling efficiency. And what is it? It is this. And literally, it means bacterial poop. So this is like, it takes in metals and then extracts it will concentrate the gold from it, and then what it poops out is 24 karat gold. That's one of the best study which has come out as a biomimicry example. And today, this kind of a study which they are trying to do not just by bacteria, but the ability, how it is doing, what is the mechanism, is what is being studied. The virus, the bacteria is the cuprovirus metallurulens. This gold pooping bacteria is now being thought that it will help in all the biomining activities, electronic waste management, because precious metals, especially the apparent ones, is very easy, but the ones which are there on the motherboard from the PCBs, it's very, very difficult to extract. So this is what is being done, and another reason why it is important is this follows a circular economy principle, which again there were mentions of it in the morning during the morning sessions. Now, what it does is this: nature. I think Shiv Kumar Sharma ji in the inauguration also mentioned we need to go back to the nature. Only then we can actually think of innovations. And this is a great example for it, because in nature what happens is that take and make and dispose, like what we humans do, is not there. It's always a closed loop. You will never see anything which is left behind, because one waste is utilized by another creature and entirely everything in nature is recycled. So that same principle is what now human beings also have adopted, and thinking back, that entire circular economy principle itself is based on the biomimicry, and where we are not thinking of any kind of waste which will be generated. And that is what is biomimicry, which is life, which is, we imitate life. Another important concept is, why this is important is because our nature has already done a lot of research. 3.8 billion years of research has already taken place. And that is how things have become, evolved today. So that whatever evolution has happened, if we can adopt it in our innovation, that is what is needed today for a sustainable solution. And innovations and also entrepreneurships actually come through that. Now let me go to the next story. You all must have seen this. You know what it is? Yeah, it's actually not a mouse, it's a bandicoot. It's a huge one. I'm sure some of you at least must have seen it, and we detest it. And the reason why I also put this is there is I'll definitely talk about it. This has led to another innovation which again I was involved as a mentor, which came from a college project, and it became an entrepreneurship. Today, Gen Robotics is mentioned in the 430. And today, Mashalka sir also showed this in his presentation. And this bandicoot was their first innovation. They were robotics, mechanical engineering, robotics students, and they came out with this by looking at the principles of bandicoot. And here again, they used, why they came out with this was because there was a law in our country which bans the manual scavenging. But even today, some places you do find it. So if you have to really use machinery to go inside the manholes, it's very, very difficult. And what they did was learned the principles from bandicoots as to how they dig, and with that they used this. If you can see, inspired by these bandicoots, digging ability and also wriggling into very small holes. So even though it's a big one, it can actually go into very small crevices. And that mechanism is what they have used. If you look at this, the sludge removal from the manholes was devised by them. In fact, the sharp claws, the legs, all these are actually which came out from this biomimicry. And in-pipe robotics, people who are in the robotics will know this, which actually is a Scott Russell mechanism. They improvised on it, and this is how they found out a new innovation. Now, next story is about what is this? Mosquitoes. Yesterday was World Mosquito Day. I mean, we have days for everything. I was surprised to know that there was a World Mosquito Day. Of course, it is because of Ross, because this was again a serendipity, because he by accident found out that malaria is there, I mean the virus is there inside the body of mosquitoes. So what happened here again is my experience, because I've been working in the field of waste management, and biomedical waste management was one of the major activities which I did, and we had this issue of syringes. And earlier we had reusable syringes. After HIV/AIDS, we had to go in for disposable syringes. And my study was to see why, how to prevent this disposable syringes being reused. Earlier, it used to be reused by the nurses themselves, and after that, they used to be taken away by the rag pickers, and then it had many other uses, which is all very scary. So we had to prevent it, so we were looking for some kind of a solution on this. And one of the innovations which came out was auto-disposable syringe. And when I really went through as to how it has to work, and because this was a very deep study we went, and this was one of the best innovations which came out, which is called the auto-disposable syringe, and how it has come from the proboscis of the mosquito. See, we all detest mosquitoes, but we learn from the mosquito, and this has been one of the best inventions, and it has prevented a lot of HIV and hepatitis B and many other diseases, because we don't reuse. Now we cannot be reused. It's like the proboscis. I'm not going into details of it, but the labium, which acts as a sheath, it will remain outside, and only the syringe, the needle will retract inside. And the same principle we used for the syringes. Another, this is my last one, which is, you know what this is? It's called the black soldier fly. Again, coming back to the circular economy principle, they use the entire life cycle of the insect to come out with a solution. This is a holistic solution for food waste, organic waste. And this, we have it in Bangalore. We are doing the studies on it. Of course, on large scale it does not work, but medium scale, without any kind of waste, whatever comes out, that is also manure, and it can be reused. So this is again a closed loop system, which the insect itself is being used here. Next is we finished about innovation, research. Now we are looking at the next aspect of TRIPS, which is entrepreneurship. Because this, unless we have entrepreneurship, like you can see also we had Saraswati and Lakshmi, so we have to, unless both of them come together, none of our innovations are going to become feasible. So here, if you look at circular economy, a lot of emphasis, that's why the word economy is there, because it emphasizes on making money. Usually people think that sustainability is you spend money, but that's not the concept today, because circular economy concept is everything about you make money, but at the same time have a principle which is similar to nature. And nature also is not that, it's not a communist, because if you look at nature and the way nature works, it's a completely capitalistic attitude, but it will not have any kind of issues to the nature. So this is about how from cardboard to heavier, which is one of the most expensive things. I will conclude. I know we all, if you have seen all the animals or insects which I have used, all of them are something which we detest. But if you actually look at our Indian system, we have almost all the vahanas of our gods. Also, like you have the mouse, you have the snake, you have, it very clearly tells you that it's not that we worship, but it is that importance of every single animal, every single bacteria in life is very useful and we can learn from it. So to give that concept only, we have these kind of vahanas which are there in our culture. To end, I would like to give one small anecdote because when I was in college, I started a club called Seasons Nature Club. And here we came out with those days, I'm talking about 35 years back, we had the first bird watching, we organized the bird watching outing. And those days we don't have WhatsApp, we don't have any printouts, computers were not there. So I made a very good write-up on a blackboard and I put it up in the corridor of my college. And I went for the class. And then I came back after my period. There were friends who came to me and said, oh, there's such a big crowd which is next to the board. So I was like so happy. I said, oh my God, I never thought that people would want to do bird watching. So they said, no, you go and have a look at your board. So I went and peeped, and what I saw was there was bird watching at Pavan Park was what I had written. Next to that, somebody else came out with some innovations there, saying that you can have a trial in our campus. In fact, our campus had 2 blocks. The old block was predominantly only for boys, and it was a boys' college, but we had very few girls in the degree. Well, that's how I also joined that place. So that was in the new block. So they said, in the new block. So you all know for what reason, what kind of bird watching. So, those days I was summoned by the rector there, and he said, please remove the board. And already people know that Seasons Nature Club is organizing this program, so please go ahead. So what I meant was, you have to go to the nature, and only we are part of the nature and not apart from the nature is very, very important. In fact, like what Mashakka sir was telling, without talking about AI, you cannot end any presentation today. So what I'm telling you also is that AI is necessary and it is removing a lot of jobs. But for something new, you have to go to the nature, because that will give you innovations and that will keep you and have enough entrepreneurship development which will come from your end. So with that I end. There's a nice quote from Leonardo da Vinci, who is again a person who advocated biomimicry, and he has very good notes. It's also there available in a form of a book. I think you all have to go through that to understand how much of innovations you can actually do by looking at nature. Thank you. I hope it was